Hello, I'm Ruth Wolfish. I'm from IEEE. I'm the IEEE Client Services Manager. I'm going to ask the rest of the panel to introduce themselves also.
Hello, thank you for coming. First of all, my name is Min Tong. I'm the business librarian for University of Central Florida.
Oh, okay. I'm Missy Murphy. I'm the reference librarian at the University of Central Florida for anthropology, sociology, and women's studies. The other role that I play is the librarian for the Patent and Trademark Resource Center for Orlando.
Hi, I'm Susan Boyd. I'm the engineering and math librarian at Santa Clara University, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area, about 40 miles south of San Francisco.
What we're going to talk about today is an entrepreneurship and innovation workshop that I created at IEEE, and we're going to talk about how it was done at 2 different sites, lessons learned, challenges, etc. Can you be my fingers?
Sure, definitely.
So the concept is it's an evolving library. We've heard the stories, libraries are changing. Low traffic does not equate to low usage. Less emphasis on print collections, more emphasis on e-resources and innovative services, and entrepreneurship, more importantly. Vendors are partnering with libraries, offering training sessions and workshops complementary to curriculum. Go ahead. Thanks. Innovation goals of the library: highlight patent and innovation resources on campus. We were at, several of us were at a workshop yesterday where they talked about that the resources on campus are all in very separate silos all over campus for entrepreneurship and innovation. And the concept behind this workshop is to draw together the different silos and, more importantly, highlight to your users on campus the different silos on campus and make them aware that really the switching system or the hub is the library to direct them to where they need to go, but to bring it together all in one place and highlight the resources of the library in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship. To build relationships with campus departments, the technology transfer office, the law school, the business school, campus clubs. More importantly, you customize this workshop to what works on your campus. IEEE, who created the workshop, will give you guidelines, but you create it and customize it to your particular institution. The goal is to reach a broader audience than traditional library users, make them aware that the library is much more than just the digital collection or the print collection. It's also a switching system for all the resources on campus and to offer value-added programming beyond traditional database training. And more. So just to get you started, the concept behind it is, or the way to start, is to contact your IEEE Client Services Manager. There are 12 of us worldwide. We do travel the world, and we're all librarians, and our goal is to do training and awareness and create creative workshops to highlight, to promote the library. The next step is library contacts other departments and campus clubs, TTO, business clubs, business faculty, law, the ACM student group, the IEEE student group. Invite panelists, including the technology transfer office, young entrepreneurs of yours in your area, and alumni. You can see it's a drawing together of all the resources in the community and also on campus. The format is a panel. It's Q&A supplied by the attendees on entry and registration. It is not formal presentations in PowerPoint or any other format by the people on the panel. It really is based on the questions of the people, the users that attend and also the users that register. IEEE will supply sample templates for panel invitation, registration website, evaluation form, and we fund food for networking. Food really helps with networking, and IEEE believes in food. You have to allow about 3+ months for planning. It is not a bring in a vendor and the workshop just evolves from there. It really does take a partnership between IEEE, the library, and the other contacts on campus, and you customize to the institution. The idea behind this panel is this workshop was done at 2 different institutions and it was customized to them. And I'm now going to turn it over to University of Central Florida, who's going to talk about their experience.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, well, as Ruth said, from her previous iteration of this with Drexel, we had templates for the flyer to advertise it, for the registration form for people to sign up to attend. And so putting it all together was just a matter of sort of taking our own information and substituting there. Our flyer, as you can see, was a very broad, are you interested in starting your own business? None of the panelists mentioned. This way we're really able to get the word out without having to have specifics at that point. So I believe that you have a welcome to the majors event early in the semester where you met with 3,000 or so like business students, and so we wanted to be able to get the word out to them before we had things fully in place. So best thing to do is to set your date and time, get all of that, have an RSVP ready. The RSVP went to our LibGuide, which is very useful because as you accumulate information, you can go ahead and add that on. So these metrics, unfortunately, people checked everything that's available, and so there's a different thing for everything that was typed in. But as you can see, over 50% of our registrants were undergraduates, which is really the target area we were looking for. Slightly over 10% were graduate students. We had a large number of alumni and community members, and that is partially due to me marketing it to the Inventors Council of Central Florida, which has an email list of over 400 entrepreneurs. So as you can see, our RSVP form asked for affiliations, not only what level they were in school, but whether or not they were a member of IEEE, ACM, etc. And also asked them to go ahead and submit a question. This way we already had a bank of questions to be asked to the panelists, just in case people were shy about asking questions with starting off. The next one. So at the actual UCF workshop seminar, that was the cover of our program. This is the actual program itself. Oh, go back one. There you go. And our panelists, we've sort of been asked, how on earth did you get these panelists? And it was sort of a matter of stalking people on LinkedIn and looking through our UCF Today news items to see, and their PR department writing the UCF Todays are very good at seeing what recent graduates are doing in their new businesses and in whatever inventions that they're doing. The one up the upper right, Mike Pape, you got him from the College of Business. He is not only an entrepreneur himself, but he's a professor of practice in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And also does things with a venture, with a startup.
Upstart Venture. I think it's a director for UCF Upstart Venture Club and things like that.
Upstart Venture Club, which is the undergraduate venture accelerator. We had also somebody from the other venture accelerator. The two lead panelists were young entrepreneurs who were recent UCF graduates, not terribly recent. I think they may have been graduates from about 10 years ago, but one is a chemical engineer with her own company and had also worked in securing IP for her company. The one before that is Phil Dumas. He is with Unikey. He was also, if he looks familiar, you may have seen him on Shark Tank. He got bids from all the different sharks there. So, so you can see it was a 2-hour program. Here's all of us. There's me talking about something there on the far right. Go ahead and go to the next one. So pretty much filled the room. This is our presentation room in the library. There is food that we've provided. Students were very appreciative. And I do love this picture because in the background you can see our two entrepreneurs, Jen and Phil, talking to students. That girl with the headpiece on right in front, she had a research consultation with me later to talk about her business idea. The guy in the foreground talking with Mike Pate, he and his partner already were working on a patentable item and were coming to me to get more information. And Mike wound up sending a bunch of his students to the library because in his entrepreneurship class he has them look at a particular company and investigate what intellectual property they've managed to secure and how that provides value for their company. So that one picture encompasses a lot of what we had going on. So our evaluations were overall positive. People said that they learned what not to do, which in business is huge, right? Learned about patents, trade secrets, copyrights, the resources available through IEEE. The resource people, I like there were resource people there. I know a lot of panels stress real life, but as he's the patent librarian, that helps too. But then you also had people say, oh, you need more real life. So you're never going to make everyone happy. And contacts, of course, learning different contacts that you can make throughout campus. So that is pretty much what I have to say about that until we start talking about the outgrowths. So Susan, did you actually want to guide
No, I'll
yourself
just
here?
say to change the next slide.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Minimal drive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I already introduced myself, so I'll talk a little bit about Santa Clara University. And we have a very different entrepreneurship environment probably than what's going on in Florida, because the tagline for our university is the Jesuit University in Silicon Valley. And in that sense, Silicon Valley, which is essentially the San Francisco Bay Area, is built on entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship programs were already well established in the School of Business, the School of Engineering. Within the law school, there's intellectual property and entrepreneurship specialties. And as a Jesuit institution, we have something called the Miller Center for Social Entrepreneurship, and they work with social entrepreneurs running nonprofits or for-profit or hybrid businesses aimed at improving the lives of people living in poverty. So that entrepreneurship is special for helping people in the Jesuit tradition. So there are all these facets of entrepreneurship on campus already. And when I saw the IEEE ad advertising of the possibility that we could have a library-sponsored entrepreneurship on campus, I thought this was a way for the library to get involved and somehow say we can also be a presence within the campus climate on this topic. Okay. So that was also the monitor ad that was up there. We were very lucky in that we have a person who does all our communications and all of our event planning. And she already has all these marketing channels set up, and she did this monitor ad. The only thing I would have added to her advertisement was that she mentions it's co-sponsored by the library and IEEE, and I would have added the School of Engineering and the Levy School of Business. When it came down to who footed the food bill, it was the library, IEEE, and the School of Engineering, because our School of Engineering got a large grant called KEEN to sponsor their events. So that's who covered the bill. Okay, go to the next one. And this is our marketing handout that went out when we had the event. And prior to it, I'd have to thank IEEE because Ruth had a checklist that really helped us set up. And we also consulted with UCF. And they answered a lot of questions for the four of us. It was myself, our business librarian, our events and communications coordinator, and a fixed-term librarian who was helping us. So just four of us on the committee. We started the concept came in December, and we actually had the event on April 24th of this year. So that's how long it takes to get together an event like this. And if you notice on the back of the guide, we did have the business librarian and I got together, did a LibGuide on our entrepreneurship resources. And I'll address that a little later. Unfortunately, the use of that LibGuide was kind of like when you do an instructional session for a class, information literacy. But when you have the class, it goes up. When we had the event, it went up and then it kind of tapered down. So it was like a typical use of what happens after you do an library instruction class. Okay, so let's move on. I think anybody will say that the hardest part of doing an event is getting the panelists together. And I felt very lucky in that the main faculty for entrepreneurship for engineering knows people and he sent out to get us started a broadcast message saying what we're planning to do. And in the message, he already recruited one of the business faculty who is in the marketing department. And later on, when I said I needed another person, he suggested an entrepreneurship person, a CEO of a company who also teaches part-time at the university. So this one faculty member in engineering got us Sean Lang and Dr. Sarangi from the business school. Okay, great. And I read the paper from the Drexel event, and they suggested a key part of your panel should be a young, new entrepreneurship, a young, new entrepreneur. And that was Sam Bertram, and he had made a lot of news in all the engineering newsletters coming out that he had co-founded. He was just barely getting his graduate degree and was starting a company. So he was the ideal young person on the panel. And then there was the moderator from IEEE who did a really great job, Craig Griffin. And the last person, Alina Adams, came as a result of contacting our director of alumni relations on campus, which was a great idea. She knows a lot of who the entrepreneurship contacts are. And when people RSVP, they could put in questions, which really helped. And these were given to our moderator, Craig, and help the panelists look at these too, so they could know what to expect and what kind of questions were coming. So these were the pre-event feeder questions. Okay, and they're good questions. You can see that most of the attendees were students, and they had questions about their specific situation, like senior undergraduates looking for help with their senior design project, as you can tell by one of the questions. Okay.
I would say I find it interesting that over half of those questions were almost exactly the same questions we got. What were your biggest fears, biggest challenges? I think it's similar concepts.
Yes, the students are concerned. They want to know what they're getting into. Okay. And those are photos from our event. As you can see, IEEE gave a lot of swag.
T-shirts.
That's how we got the chapter officers and other people on the chapter to show up. They loved the hats, they loved the t-shirts, and I should have recruited them more to help. That's my only regret there. And you see our panelists. We used the best room in campus, the St. Clair room, kind of named after St. Clair, who the university's named after. And it's a beautiful venue, and the people gathered noshing on food outside. That's a reception area outside the room, and you can see the seating's very nice. So, I think that's all,
Your evaluations and comments.
and okay. This is one part where I think we could have done a better job, and I talked to these 3 people about it, and they said, short of body tackling, make people fill out the feedback form, because we only got a small handful of feedback forms left, because I did not block the door like Ruth says she does.
We had Ruth blocked the door.
So,
I did it nicely.
so that's one of my things we could have done better, get more feedback. But what we got was that, and it was pretty positive for the most part, but I wouldn't call it a representative sample for the fact that we didn't make people give us the feedback form back.
Okay. So next, we are going to talk about some of the outgrowths from the workshop. First, I will start from UCF. Now, because we just shared their evaluation and the comments and things like that, most of them are very positive, and I see we see a need out there that the students want to know more about the resources on the campus, and it happens to be the current theme of UCF, our quality enhancement plan theme. It's what's next, integrative learning for professional and civic preparation. It's just to prepare our graduates in their in the next steps of their professional and civic lives. And after organizing the workshop, we realized that first thing is it's very time consuming. So, and all of our subject librarians and patent librarian, we have a workload, big workload already. So we need some money to try to hire an adjunct librarian to cover some of the reference desk shifts for us. So we think it's very nice to, it's a good idea to apply some of the grant money to help cover their human resources. That's one thing and another thing from the marketing perspective, I think it's really good idea to be on the board of a much bigger initiative on the campus. It's campus-wide, the QEP. So thinking about that, then I just came across the idea. I think I invite their science librarian and our engineering librarian and Missy, the patent librarian, and I asked them whether they are interested in applying for a grant from QEP to have a program just to make the library, as Ruth mentioned, as the hub of the resources, just especially not really like the centers and things are in-house in the library, but at least we can get spread the information about the campus resources for entrepreneurship. So, and then we collaborated on the proposal, and we got funded for their project. It's called Libraries Bridging the Gap Between Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And we got money to cover, as I said, the human resources part, and also the marketing, because flyers and things like that cost money as well. So that's why we came across and we brainstormed about the topics and things like that based on the evaluation and the comments of the students. And so the first one it's a panel, so we want to spur the interest of the entrepreneur, just to showing them, what entrepreneurship are. So we invite some of the successful entrepreneurs, their alumni here in the library, and then have a panel discussion, kind of like the first one, the one that Ruth helped us organize. And then the second one is actually literally today, next week, is that right?
Next week,
next Thursday, is about intellectual property. So we invite colleagues from technology transfer and also from some of the patent lawyers and things like that, right? And also, I will show a flyer later on just to go into a little bit more detail. And then the third event we are planning is for just an information session of the different resources on the campus to support the entrepreneurship. Like we have a center for entrepreneurship leadership, And we have National Science Foundation, it's a grant, it's ICOPS. It's basically just to pair their, try to pair their, the science students, the science students from, with seasoned entrepreneurs, the coach to pair them together and trying to translate whatever they have in transfer whatever they have in lab into the market. So we have the ICOPS organization on the campus, and also another great resources for the students. I think is for the Small Business Development Center. I think because when the students are with UCF, they do get access to the wonderful library databases and things like that. But after they graduate, where do they turn to for information and things like that? So I think it's really great to invite the SBDC colleagues to come over and show their students what kind of help they can expect after they graduate from UCF. And yeah, so that's the third one. The last one is it's just about industry, because we did get some questions from the panel from the panel event. The students ask about how can I conduct an industry analysis, you know, how can I gauge my market and things like that. So we are thinking I will team with SBDC business consultants, and we're going to hold a workshop on that topic. So this is our first event for their QEP project, the grant project. So it's the panel. Now, a little bit unlike the first, the one with IEEE, our target students mainly are business students and engineering students. But this one we want to broaden a little bit to get to gauge, you know, to spur the interest from other subject areas. So we invited the panels. We have one panelist actually who is an English major, but right now he's in a brewing business. So, and we have Julie. Julie is for social entrepreneurship. She has a nonprofit organization, nonprofit business. I think enterprise, based mainly to support Haiti, things like that. So we just try to invite their entrepreneurs from different backgrounds, and then the students will kind of like a relay, like, oh, this one is from nonprofit organization, nonprofit management major, another one is from finance major, another one is from English major, and Joe actually is from engineering major, of course. So basically their comments are, their bubbles over there probably is a little bit small, but most of them are very positive. And so one of them is that UCF offers a great number of services that support entrepreneurship. That really makes us, you know, kind of think, oh, you know, our mission kind of accomplished, because that's our game, that's our aim, that's our goal. Our goal is just to show the students what kind of resources on campus can support their entrepreneurship idea. And this one is our next upcoming event, next Thursday. And as I said, we invited colleagues from technology transfer, and we have our scholarly communication librarian is going to talk about copyright. And also we have one of the patent lawyer from our general counsel. So it looks like, and this time we are aiming to attract some students from their fine arts, movie, film, and things like that major. So hopefully this will accomplish that.
The woman in the middle is actually an entertainment lawyer, and I got her specifically because she does entertainment, arts, and sports law. So that is really reaching an audience that we otherwise wouldn't get. The QEP is aimed at undergrads.
Yes, yeah, that's
undergrads
right.
across the board, and so that shows the importance of IP outside of what you would traditionally consider the sciences and business fields.
That's right.
So, and outgrowths for SCU.
Okay, because as I mentioned, both the business school and the School of Engineering have regular programs already in place and going. We haven't had another joint event since April 21st. And as you saw, myself and the business librarian created a LibGuide with our library resources. And what I see as going forward is perhaps we can partner when the right topic comes up with another department to stress those resources. Because as I said, the use of the guide went up right after the event and then started tapering off, just as you would think would happen for a guide you might do for information literacy purposes. At least the library was recognized as a participant in these entrepreneurship events. And most recently, we did ask all the faculty that teach entrepreneurship related courses to advertise our event. And recently, one of those instructors sent a group of students from his technology entrepreneurship class over to ask me some questions and help them out with a product concept they were doing. So it's kind of nice that that particular faculty remembered we had resources that could probably help the student, these students with their entrepreneurship class project. So in that sense, at least we're on his radar now, so that's a good thing.
And I get to take this. SLA saw a presentation in SLA on, we did a poster on the workshop, and they asked us to be the lead article on innovation and entrepreneurship. And do it one more time. And we did, planning and staging. What it also includes is lessons learned, challenges, etc. I have a copy of the article. I'm allowed to send it to anyone that's interested, by the way. Okay, go ahead. And the piece that was really interesting to me was, and obviously I pulled it out, library staff were instrumental in organizing the event. They were recognized, which was the goal of the workshop. The silos were put together. They showed that the switching system, or the main part to go to for information on this, is the library, and the library was recognized, which ultimately is the goal. Go ahead. And just so you know who's talking to you, and I'm going to ask you to keep going, because we did add some additional slides, and we are speaking about the one at Drexel. Drexel was what I called the beta test. Let's test it out somewhere. We did it with Drexel and the University of Penn, September 2016. There were 65 plus attendees. You can see the number of attendees. We are planning on doing it at the University of Buffalo and Rutgers in 2019. Go ahead. This was the Drexel UPenn flyer, which was the beta test for a flyer. So there are examples from different schools, which was my goal, so that you would know you don't have to recreate the wheel, but you do have to make the wheel, customize it to your particular institution. Go ahead. This was the handout. You can see the similarity. Go ahead. Again, the idea was that the panelists' bios were there because we're asking for questions from the audience, and they knew who to refer the question to or what the panel really knew about. And they had the panel's bios in advance also. Go ahead. These were the Drexel UPenn photos. By the way, we did it at noon, which we've learned was not the best time to do it. We did do it at UCF after, 5 or 6 o'clock.
Ours was 6:30, yours was 6.
Yeah, and what we
Very
had to do at
successful.
UCF was basically tell people to leave, because the networking was lasting so long. We basically had to say to people, you need to leave. They loved the networking session. This was the Drexel UPenn evaluation, which I thought was pretty good for a beta test for a new workshop that had never been created. Oops, one more, go back. Oops,
I think I scroll all the way down.
yeah. That's okay. That's all right. Anyways, the idea that came from Drexel, and I wanted it to be an outgrowth, was a Shark Tank with venture caps from the audience. And J-Bot from Drexel did tell me that 2 students got funded from it. So basically, the workshop has wheels. The concept behind it is to customize it to your particular institution. IEEE will help you, but ultimately, As I always say at every presentation that I give, you live there, we don't, so we understand that you're the host and that, you know, what you say goes. And as you can see, it is customized and done at different institutions. I think we're running a little.
We are.
We're running
Out of
late on time.
Fine.
So if you need to leave, please feel free, or if you have questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
No, I was gonna say that, you know, a pitch competition didn't come out of ours because UCF already has a pitch competition. But I mean, as far as people seeking us out for information, I know the Venture Accelerator, since we had people from their office actually speaking, they now send people over to me to do patent searching. Frequently, I will have someone look for patents, but then they'll say, can I also speak to the business librarian? I know that's important, and the business librarian will, you know, will be like, I need to meet with both of you because I know that that's a concern. And so there's a great deal of education, sort of a cross-pollination of things that came from it. And getting, yes?
So what's the ideal amount of panelists to have?
6. 6 is the ideal. If it's too many, you're fighting for time. I think, and I'm gonna customize, you get to do it the way that you want at your institution. Too many panelists, it's too many people trying to speak. And you told me also, you have to stage who you're inviting, because if you're getting 6, you can't invite someone and then say, no, we have too many,
Yeah.
right?
And actually getting panelists this year has been a lot easier because we have gone to a lot of the same people we talked to last year.
Yeah.
And they're recommending people, and actually we've got a file that we're keeping of sort of like, you know, potential panelists. And so it's hard work the first year, but if you choose to continue doing something like this, then it does get a little bit easier.
Yes, I will say like that. Yeah, but for us, I think the panel of 4 actually worked pretty well, I think. Is that right?
With the entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
entrepreneur. We
Right.
had 4. So, but just to make sure that you choose the panelists from diverse backgrounds, I think that will be, and we try to include at least one female, because that's very important for the student body as well, to see a female entrepreneur's presence, you know, the representative out there. So.
And I get to do lessons learned. One of the things we learned is that I didn't do the outline step-by-step with examples prior to UCF, and I learned from UCF and shared it with Santa Clara, and it seemed to really help. It really is step-by-step with examples. Go ahead.
So besides the flyers, how else did you market it?
I have a list. We went through our Blackstone Launchpad, which is great. They've always been wonderful. They have my name up on a whiteboard, say Missy Patton's Library, and you know, so they send people to me all the time. The College of Business, College of Engineering and Computer Science, the Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership, which is sort of the umbrella organization over all of the Venture Lab and all these entrepreneurial things through the business school. Engineering has their own set of things. The Inventors Council of Central Florida, that 400 plus email list I talked about. Through the library, our blog events calendar, the UCF wide events calendar, our Facebook and Twitter pages, the Office of Technology Transfer, the student IEEE and student ACM chapters. I think that's it.
Alumni office?
That would have been a good idea.
Yes, we approach the alumni offices mainly for their speaker candidates. Yeah, but I think that's really great because I just checked the RSVPs for our next week's actually today, and I saw some from some alumni. I don't know where they got, probably from the library events page and things like that, but they are alumni. So it would be nice that the alumni office will send out an email to all the alumni.
But also one of our speakers is a UCF alumni. Actually, 2 of our speakers next week are UCF alumni.
Yeah.
And one is the director for a master's program at Full Sail University. So it could be that she's actually seeing UCF people and they're following her back over to see her speak. So we don't really know. Hopefully we'll get that little blank that says, where did you hear about us? And we can pull information from that.
And in terms of like marketing, like the real physical, I think, it's up to like send out to the social media and things like that, but also involve the librarians. Literally, we just walk to the buildings. Like me and the science librarian, the engineering librarian will go to the business building and then just put the poster on the wall and things like that.
And I forgot,
It's a lot of work.
I did go to our career center,
Yeah.
center and experiential learning, because that's also a good source, especially for those who might miss, that might slip through the cracks through the engineering and business.
Yeah, exactly.
But other lessons that might not have mentioned is make sure to promote your own library resources, because the question that came in about the business resources was, I think our audience was overzealous in asking questions, and we never got to the business library in question. And you were at the back of the room the whole time, and I would have been able to say, target market, all this competitive intelligence. She's right there. That's the face of our business library. And so
that's why I became the private, the primary investigator for the grant, the QEP grant project, because I think that's it's really, we have so many wonderful resources, but it's a shame that our students are not aware. So we need to get the words out.
It was a common theme from Susan and also, Santa Clara and UCF, and you didn't realize that, you needed to promote you in terms of flyers, introduce yourselves, etc. And again, you customize a workshop the way that you want to, but you do, the concept of the workshop is to highlight the library, so take advantage of it.
and in providing the panel and the lunch or dinner also, you're giving the students what they want to see and what they want to hear. So a little bit of self-promotion is not going to be frowned upon by any means.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting.
And I would also say to offer takeaways. One of our panelists was an associate with the I-Corps program, and I told him, probably didn't tell him enough times, bring your brochures, bring your applications. I know you have, for I-Corps, you have like 3 application rounds every year, and that would have been an amazing way for him to really promote himself and promote his business. So I know with our entrepreneurs this last time that Julie, since she does a nonprofit, she came and brought all sorts of brochures and everything talking about her.
That's right.
It's women making, it's a shoe company run out of Haiti,
that's
right?
Yeah.
Giving people jobs in Haiti after the storms.
So we do appreciate their, they volunteer their time and their energy to do the panel. At the same time, I want to offer like at least a platform for them to promote the business as well. Yeah. Unfortunately, their library policy is that there is no cash transaction or like no business transaction in the building.
We can't have them.
Yeah, you cannot sell
right.
things, but at least they can bring their flyers, the brochures, and things like that to promote their companies and things like that. Yeah.
Thanks for your
Well,
time.
thank you.
Very much for you thinking through it.